What's up, guys? It's your man, Donovan Sharp, and welcome to this edition of TSR Live. It is Friday night with Darron Brown. Darron, how's it going, man?
I'm good, man. Yeah, thanks for having me. It's good to be back.
Yeah, absolutely. Off the air, we were talking about the 49ers, the San Francisco 49ers owner, Jed York, and how he's a pussy, basically.
Basically, punk ass piece of shit. He's fucking up the team, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully, he get it right, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, today's topic, we're actually going to get into both sides of this. The title of the show is "Are Black Men Genetically Stronger Than White Men?" But we're also going to delve into, you sent me over an article, Darron, that said African immigrants have the highest academic achievement in the U.S., and we'll talk a little bit about that. As you know, I had a very explosive and incendiary podcast with IM a few weeks back talking about IQ. And, whether you agree with IQ or not, it doesn't really matter. To me, it comes down to, you can have all the genetic advantages in the world, even as black men. I feel we're genetically, bigger, stronger, faster. You can't just, roll out of bed every morning and be that. You have to put in the work, and that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, definitely, man. I think that, obviously genetics does play a part, and people that do have the best genetics and they do work hard, they tend to surpass everybody else. What I think is that in general, we tend to generalize strength, at least in America we do, because we don't realize that there was a point in time where people weren't as mixed as they are today. And then you had a thing called natural selection. Just as beauty, it differentiated between groups, so did masculinity, so did strength, and so did intelligence.
There you go. That's exactly right. The article, and I'm going to go ahead and put it in put the link in here. It's off of pumpkinperson.com, and it's entitled "Which Race is Physically the Strongest?" I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to read the bottom here because that's what Darron and I are going to get into. One of the titles, just a subsection, says the average black American can bench press more than the average white American. So it says, quote, "Of course, weight and strength are not the same thing. In order to compare races and strength, I found a study of police officers which compared the bench press ability of black and white officers, both at the time they were recruited and after years on the job. The study found that upon recruitment, the average white man could bench press 84.2 kilograms. I don't know the metric system, but the average black man could bench press 95.1. So I don't know. I guess that's somewhere around 200. Yeah, somewhere like that. In other words, black men are stronger than white men. If we convert strength to a familiar IQ scale where the white mean is set at 100, blah, 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 blah. So basically it says that black men are stronger in that regard. Then, of course, right down here at the bottom, he lists the 15, the 9 of the greatest bodybuilders of all time. You've got Ronnie Coleman, who's black. Arnold Schwarzenegger, probably the most notable bodybuilder of all time. He's white, obviously Austrian. Kai Green, black. Philip Heath, black. Flex Wheeler, black. Johnny O. Jackson, black. Lee Haney, black. Lou Ferrigno, white. Lou Ferrigno played the Hulk, and then Kevin Levrone, black. Then, of course, we got guys like Jay Cutler, who are in there as well, who's also a white guy. He said something very interesting on my show yesterday. I think it was with Alan Roger. No, it wasn't with Alan Roger Curry. I was talking to somebody about something. I forget. I'm in a fog right now. But you said something to the, and I don't remember it exactly. I think you said black people are built for power and white people are built for strength, or was it the other way around?
That's exactly what I said.
Okay. Explain it. Yeah.
Well, what I mean is that what you see with Western Africans tend to be more muscular. They tend to be more aesthetically, have be more ripped than other groups of people.
Sure.
But the further east you go, the smaller those groups of people get. Now, what you get because of the Atlantic slave trade, you had Western Africans brought to all the Americas, and also you have Western Africans in the UK. So because of that, they tend to consume the generalization of black people around the world, and it just so happens those people tend to be more, aesthetically pleasing than other groups of people.
Sure. And I think I'll circle it back here to the IQ thing here. And I'm not going to talk about the IQ thing because we'll be on that for hours, man. Listen, bro, I was getting called names by black people and white people, man. I was catching enemy and friendly fire. I was like, whoa, hold up, man. I'm just the host here. Ease up. But the thing with IQ is that is, I don't want to call it objective or subjective, but the difference between IQ and intelligence versus strength and power is that strength and power can be there is a quantifiable measure, right? Like you can't, I mean, there's all kinds of ways to test a guy's IQ. You don't really know. If you want to prove that you're stronger than somebody else, you lift more weights than he does. That's how that goes. That being said, in American sports, use obviously the four major American sports. The only one of the four major North American sports that are not dominated by black people is ice hockey. And as luck would have it, or not as luck would have it, but as it happens, one of the most notable hockey players is PK Subban, a black man. So, but you look at basketball, you look at football, dude, 75 to 80% black. Now, baseball, I think, is only between 8 and 10% black. But again, you look at the all-time home run record, 4 of the top 6 home run hitters of all time are African-American. You've got Hank Aaron. Well, Barry Bonds is number 1, Hank Aaron number 2. You've got Willie Mays, and of course, you've got Ken Griffey Jr. So across the American landscape, blacks obviously dominate the sports landscape. You look at the track and field events. I mean, we dominate the track and field, Usain Bolt, Justin Gatlin, Tyson Gay, all that stuff. What are your thoughts on that? Like, what is now power versus strength? Explain power versus strength and how that relates to professional athletes and Olympics.
Okay, so what you see with sports in general, sports in today's society, it requires a lot of power. How high can you jump? How fast can you jump? How explosive can you throw a punch? And for the most part, African Americans tend to be more powerful, more explosive than other groups of people. And I think that the reason being is that, at least for me, I played collegiate football.
Sure.
One of the most important muscles in athletics is the hips. Your hip size, your hip ratio. And black men and black women tend to have bigger and stronger hips than other groups of people. And because that our sports are designed a certain way in today's day and age, we dominate that. And we're seen as like we're at the top level of like athletic performance because of basketball, where you can jump, and because of football, where you need to explode or whatnot.
Or cut.
Exactly. And and it's all hip strength.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that. Does that, and I'm not, and again, like I work out and all that, but I'm not you're obviously more versed in this stuff. Does that have anything to, does power directly relate to what are called fast twitch muscle fibers?
It does. It does. Your ability to get that hip snap or that shoulder snap, it matters more than your overall weight, because there were, like, even on the football team, there were guys that I knew that were about 180, but they could squat 600 pounds because they can get down and squat back up immediately.
Okay. It's that it's the power that allowed them to lift the weight. I mean, obviously you have to have strength, but because they could pop back up those fast twitch muscle fibers, the momentum carries the rest of the weight. Am I right?
Exactly. Like, there are people, even in boxing, there are people that can punch harder than me. But because I have a quick twitches in my hips, you can hear the sound of it. Pow, pow. You can hear that sound. It's because of that quick twitch, man.
Right. They're eating that jab all night, right?
Exactly.
Damn right. Yeah, it's funny when you think about the NFL, you think about the token white wide receivers. Joe Juravicius. Who else have we got? Ed McCaffrey. His son Christian McCaffrey plays for the Carolina Panthers. You got the token. I mean, Wes Welker. I mean, the list goes on and on. But all of the, I don't want to say skill position, backs and receivers, guys who touch the balls, playmakers, etc. They're all, I mean, most of them are black. All of the greatest receivers, linebackers, they're all black.
True. But as I stated, natural selection in Western Africa, those were traits that were favored amongst those groups of people. And I think I mentioned this earlier, but you used to have a thing called a man's rite of passage.
Yes.
Historically, women are kind of born with the beauty. They become a woman at the age of 14, but a man, you have to build up to be a man. And depending on what culture you grew up in, they had certain tests for you. And it just so happens in Western Africa, I don't know exactly what that test was. Those tests require a man to perform a certain level. Now you bring those people to America and you have athletics, you have sports designed the way that it's designed.
Right. They're tailor-made for us.
Exactly.
Right.
But with that being said, playing on a collegiate level, there are also white guys who play at this level, who can run 4.40s, who can jump high, and those white guys tend to have bigger and stronger hips as well. So that's like a universal trait that is needed in football and athletics in general.
Okay, so it would appear that black people have the bigger, stronger hips genetically on average, and if white people had bigger, stronger hips, they would have the same
Yeah,
ratio advantages that African Americans do on the football field.
exactly. Even when you say, let's get back to attraction, like with women.
Yeah,
I know, like in the '80s, it was preferred to have a white woman that just had big breasts and no hips.
right.
So those traits were passed on. Now what you see is you see more white women with hips. It's more accepted. Now women that with bigger hips are considered the more beautiful, and their traits are going to get passed on. That's just the way it works, man.
Sure. Right. Listen, you said natural selection, and what you mean by that are the people that get fucked the most, right? I mean, listen, we want
Exactly.
women who are a little, I mean, and listen, when I say curvy, I do not mean fat. I mean, just so you guys know, like, I'm not talking
I
about
hate
fat
that
chicks
shit.
here. Oh, no.
I hate that shit. I hate when you
Bitch.
say they like curves and you send me a picture of
Oh my
somebody
God.
that's like,
And you're 300
my
pounds.
weight. Yeah, my weight.
Oh my God, bitch! Like I squat you. Like no. If listen, man. Oh my God, dude. Like listen. If I can, you know what? I'm gonna come up with a new rule. If I, if I can't, if your weight is my 1 rep max on the squat, actually, you know what? That's still too high. I'm gonna come up with something, but you know what? You know where I'm going here. I need to be able to. I need to be able to squat. I need to be able to do 25 reps under the bar with your weight. If you tell me you weigh 125 pounds, I'll do that all day long. Dude, 225, it's gonna be a little bit difficult. That's how that works.
And what's crazy is that in today's world, man, we have more plus size models, but
Oh my God.
we only have that standard for women. We don't have male plus size
Nope,
models.
we sure don't.
Then we still have to be we have to be in shape, we got to have the muscles, and we have to have the money. Women don't have that same standard.
No, listen, all women have to do is not be fat and they can get laid. And I'll point this out to you too. Women, the one true barometer of attractiveness. Now, stay with me here. We have plus size models, right? We have people telling them, "Oh, you guys are gorgeous and this and that and the other." Listen, the only way that you can tell if a woman is attractive is if people want to fuck her, okay? That's all there is to it. So the one true barometer of attractiveness in terms of male preference is pornography. The average man can say, "Oh, I love curvy and I love fat women," but guess what? When he fires up the old laptop for a little bit of chicken choking, he's not spanking that monkey to fat chicks, dude.
I have to agree. When at least when I watch porn, I'm not watching fat chicks, but there's some weird people out there, man, and there are some
With a
like
healthy sexual
was it
desire.
BBW? Was it BBW?
Oh,
You know what I'm saying?
oh God, that's fucking nasty. Ah!
And those videos get a lot of views, man. So
Oh my God.
I'm not.
Listen, they get a lot of views, but I mean, by comparison, relatively speaking, like, come on, man. People, listen, men, we like nice thin bodies. We like big tits. We're not. No. Like, I don't want your no. Mm-mm.
Have you ever met a guy who preferred BBWs? Because I actually had a teammate who was really, really good shape, and then he would always want to bring girls over, but they were always about 300 pounds. So we had to
Wow.
we told him, you can't come over no more.
No. Like, look, we're not mad at you, but you can't bring her around here, man.
Yeah.
Like that's bad for my rep. The fuck?
She'd bring her friends over, and then he would want us to flirt with the friends so that they could go. I'm like, no, man, that shit ain't cool, man.
No, I'm not flirting with no thick bitch. No, fuck that slump buster shit. I'll tell you something else. Former NBA player John Sally played for the Bad Boy Pistons. He has gone on record multiple times that he likes big women.
Yeah.
Loves him some big women. Some men are like that. Listen, I love John Sally, John Spider Sally. That's a fucked up sexual desire. Because if you have a normal male sexual desire, you don't like fat chicks. Now, I'm sure that there are some exceptions to the rule. Some guys like chicks a little thicker than others, but the kind of thick and plus size women that they are touting as beautiful are nowhere near what male preference is. That's really what it comes down to.
I just remembered something. My first year in college, right? My roommate was a rugby player, and I went to class, but I forgot a book. So I came back to the house. I went into my dorm, and he was hooking up with some fat chick, right? So I walked in, grabbed my books. I mean, we shared the same room, so I grabbed my books and I left, right? So then we talked to him later about it. I'm like, man, you get all these girls, because he had hot girls that were interested in him. I was like, why don't you date these girls? And he told me he just feels he felt like with a bigger woman, she was less likely to cheat on him.
Wow.
And he felt more confident approaching them and dealing with them. So that was how he felt,
Bruh. Next time you see him, man, tell him DonovanSharp.com. That'll solve that problem real quick. Shout out to Eric P with the $5 super chat. Says, "What up, D? Your interview with Alan Roger Curry was excellent. Eagles traveling to the City of Angels this Sunday. Any thoughts on the game with the Rams? That's gonna be a good game, man." And we just came off. I don't want to say we were humiliated, but we were on a national TV game, and we didn't get our. The game was closer than the score appeared. We had our opportunities, but listen, man, Russell Wilson carved us up. The Seattle defense held us in check. That's all there is to it. Never underestimate a team that was just humiliated on national TV. We're going to be coming out for blood. Plus, this is a big time game here. If we lose, we have to win this game to stay in the hunt for that #1 seed. If we lose this game, now we drop out of the. We'd be 10-3, and the Rams would also be 10-3, which means that we'd be the 3 seed, meaning we would have to play in week 1 of the playoffs if everything holds all the way until week 17. So this is a big game for both teams. What do you think?
I'm definitely going to check that game out, man. I haven't been keeping up with the NFL in general just because my Niners, we suck ass, you know what I'm saying? And then you do get busy, but I wouldn't even sweat that Philadelphia loss, man. Just me keeping up with sports. I know that in general, when you go to the playoffs, you want to be in a relaxed state. And teams that just have a habit of winning, they have too much pressure on them, and they just have this. It's too many. It's just too much things to worry about. If you even see the same, you see the same pattern with the Patriots. The Patriots will dominate for a few weeks, lose a game, and then you just be like, "What the fuck happened?" And then they go in the playoffs and they'll dominate. I think the Eagles are going to be fine, man.
I think we are too. And it was funny. I was telling my girl, I don't know, a couple weeks ago before this game even happened, I said, listen, the Eagles need to, like, we were on a 9-game winning streak. I said, look, the Eagles need to lose a game before the playoffs, man. We need to get our nose bloodied. We need to be humbled a little bit so we can get that hunger back. And everyone's asking, oh, the Eagles peak. I don't know. Maybe they have, maybe they haven't. But I think that Seattle loss is going to do a lot more good than harm, because now we've definitely got that laser focus. Aunt James, shout out to the Aunt James with the $2 super chat. He says, no brown bear cub built bitches. But yeah, but basically bear cubs, big, you know.
Yeah, who's he talking about?
I think he's talking about big. I think he's talking about BBWs. Talking about BBWs, bro.
Okay.
You know how it goes.
That's a good one.
That is a good one. What's that called? Brown bear cub built bitches. Damn. Some big ass bitches.
Big brown bear cub bitch.
Look at this. Red Beast 209.97 says, can HGH help with penis enlargement, and would genetics determine maximum value when enlarging? The answer to that question is I don't know, but I'll tell you this. I know that human growth hormone makes the body grow. Like people who are on HGH, their hands get bigger. Their head gets a little bit bigger. Think Barry Bonds, right? He was on steroids and HGH heavy. You look at him pre-steroids, he had a lithe body. After he was on steroids, he had the physique of a linebacker, and his head, like his forehead, it's like 4 times the size.
I'm not going to mention anything about Barry Bonds. I actually went to high school with his son.
No
and,
shit.
You know, and I kept partying with his daughter a little bit, and I met him before. The dude is fucking huge, man.
Dude,
he's huge. You won't believe how big he is in person, man. So I'll give, and he was a cool dude in person. So I'll let Barry slide, man.
Oh, listen. Here's the thing, and I want to make this clear. I will never vilify anyone for doing steroids or HGH. I won't. I'm not that guy who's going to be like, oh, Barry Bonds did it, steroids. No, man. This is the thing, man. We take performance enhancing drugs every single day, right? We do protein shakes. We do creatine, da-da-da-da-da. Listen, steroids just helps you get there faster. People can call it cheating. You can call it whatever you want, but HGH is the fountain of youth. So getting back to his question, it stands to reason that if your extremities, if your bones densen, if your skin tightens, if your body literally grows, I don't know, maybe HGH does help with penis growth. In terms of genetics, I mean, listen, you can only fill a cup up. You can only put as much water in a cup as it can hold. So if you have small dick genetics, I guess there's going to be a cap. There's going to be a cap on your genetics at some point.
Are there penis exercises though? I know the way steroids and HGH work, that they help you pump more with muscle, and the penis is a muscle. But
yes,
if there's penis exercises and you take it, my guess is that it would work.
Yeah, I mean, theoretically, and yes, there are penis exercises. I do them myself to keep, because, dude, I'm 40 years old, man. I mean, I got to keep my dick, and I've never suffered from erectile dysfunction, but I do penis exercises called PE. I do that regularly. It keeps my dick hard, keeps it strong, erection quality, et cetera, et cetera. I actually did a show about it. I think it's like episode 40 or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are penis exercises. So if you have a stronger penis, theoretically, if you could work it out more, I guess it would get bigger. I don't know. I don't know that you can work. I don't know that you can work the penis out as a muscle the same as you can maybe work like a bicep or something. I don't know that it's the same thing, but I do know that HGH does make the body grow. So theoretically, I guess it could make your dick bigger. Who knows? You know how that goes.
Yeah, possibly.
Who knows? Listen. If you're looking to fuck BBW, you definitely need a big dick. I know that. You know what I'm saying? You know how that goes. Let's move to the second half here. We're gonna keep this one high and tight. It's actually we're actually expecting some snow out here, so I got to run to the grocery store and buy up all the bread, eggs, milk, and cheese like every other nut job out here. You sent me an article that I referenced earlier. African immigrants have the highest highest academic achievement in the U.S. and the key word there is academic achievement. Now, why did you send me this article, and what's the main thing that you took out of it?
Well, the reason I sent that to you, I don't want to get too much into IQ.
Oh God, Jesus fucking Christ!
But,
so let's stay away from that.
But in general, white Americans in the Western world tend to be more educated, tend to have the most people that are educated than the other group of people. And then based off that, there's a high correlation between education and IQ. But what you also see is that the foreigners tend to dominate these educational institutions. That's foreigners along with Europeans, East Asians, and Africans. And within that group, those groups of people, the Africans tend to have the highest level of academic success. So with that being said, can you conclude that Africans have a higher IQ? No. What I think it stems from is that people who are the most educated, who are the wealthiest, they have the best potential to having a high IQ in today's world, being considered intelligent by today's standards.
You know what? I'll actually take this argument back to sports. You think about a guy like Tom Brady, right? Easily the greatest player of all time. Well, the reason he is the greatest player of all time is because he was picked number 199. He was drafted in the 6th round, and he was nothing short of spectacular at Michigan. But the guy ahead of him, Drew Henson, was the all-world recruit, and he got all the shine. Tom Brady, I think, only started his last 2 years. He was constantly looked over. Finally, Michigan wins its first Rose Bowl for the first time in 50 some odd years or whatever it was, and Tom Brady slid all the way down to the 6th round. Okay. There's an interview on YouTube. He did an interview with Chris Berman, and this was back in like 2006, 2007. After Brady had won 3 Super Bowls, he cried to Chris Berman, telling the story about how he was pacing back and forth because he was pissed off about not being drafted. He used that, and let's get this straight, Darron. Tom Brady is not the biggest quarterback. He is definitely not the fastest. He doesn't have the strongest arm. But you want to know something? They didn't open up his chest, right? You got to have that desire. Here's another example. Aaron Rodgers, probably the most talented quarterback I've ever seen. This is the deal. Aaron Rodgers suffered kind of the same thing. If you remember with your 49ers, the thing was, who are we going to pick? Alex Smith or Aaron Rodgers?
Fucking stupid, man. I hated that.
I know you're pissed off. Oh, man. I'm gonna tell you.
And Aaron Rodgers is a hometown boy. You know what I'm saying?
Right. He went to Cal. Unbelievable.
And he's from there. He's from Chico, man. It's pissing me off. Grew up there. So it's just fucked up.
That's the thing. So the Niners pick Alex Smith first. Aaron Rodgers slides all the way down to pick number 22. But what happened between that, picks number 1 and 22 to the Green Bay Packers, is that he was still sitting in the green room. Like any moment now he's going to get the call. It was a precipitous and very embarrassing fall all the way to number 22. Listen, we should all be so lucky to have, number 22 first round picks, right? Like, hey, cry me a fucking river, Aaron. But the point is those guys let the fire burn. That's why they're great, because they had something to prove. They had a chip on their shoulder. So go ahead.
One thing that you can see, but people don't pay attention to, is willpower.
Right.
They don't know. Willpower is the most important thing in everything in life. Because
willpower and discipline.
If you're strong-willed, you're disciplined. You'll put in the work to be successful. You're open to learning. That's the biggest difference between the contenders and pretenders. And that's people pay too much attention to the measurables.
No, oh my God, yes.
It's something they can see, and even with I forgot what I was going to say. I was going to say something regarding Tom Brady. It's funny that you mentioned Tom Brady, because
everybody's seen the combine video, right?
He looks goofy as shit.
Right. White,
Goofy.
pasty, you know, he was slow. It's funny. Like, I look at that video now, you see him kind of standing there, and you think to yourself, looking back, that is the greatest quarterback in NFL history standing right there, and nobody knows it yet. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Also, a good note: Tom Brady and Barry Bonds went to the same high school. You know, they're both yes, a good ass. They play for a good ass high school, man. So you know, yeah, exactly. Tom Brady, our high school, his high school is our rival high school. So I'm a big fan of Tom Brady. I'm glad he's doing well, man.
Good.
I love when people hate on him. I love it.
That's the thing. You know, the thing is there's so much hate. There's so much hate for really successful people. People hate on LeBron James because he's just better than everybody else. People even hate on Kevin Durant now. People are even hating on. I mean, dude, whoever's great, people hate. That's just how it is. Circling back to the article, I said all that to say this. Okay. Of course, African immigrants have the highest academic achievement because they felt like they had to. When immigrants come to this country, like back in the day, dude, they had nothing. You know what I mean? Like they had to learn the language. They have that drive, that will, and that desire to succeed. So it doesn't matter what your physical genetic advantages are. Doesn't matter what your academic genetic advantages are. None of that matters unless you have the willpower, like you said, the discipline, and the want to. I'm trying to think of Jeff George, right? Dude is probably one of the most talented cornerbacks of all time. Jay Cutler could throw a ball through a brick wall even right now as he's hurt. Guess what? He just doesn't have that willpower or desire to win, man. That's why he's not great.
Exactly. You know, it's funny how groups of people in this, you can see it in America, with groups of people that get comfortable as generation goes along, those people tend to like, let's put the Irish and Italians, for example. Yeah. They used to dominate athletics in this country, even boxing. Yes. But once they had more opportunity to academics and then got able to build their communities, you saw less and less of them in athletics, and then less and less, in boxing in general. So basically, you know, back to willpower, people that are hungry, who have something to fight for,
That's right.
They just push harder, man. They push harder.
That to me, that is the number one factor to anything. Willpower and discipline, those are all good, but you can't succeed. Like, the less hungry you are, the less successful you're going to be, because if you're not hungry, you're not going to eat. You know what I'm saying? Like, exactly. If you're like, if you want to be a power lifter, dude, you got to be in the gym. You got to be lifting those weights. If you want to be great at football, dude, you have to watch film until your eyes bleed. This is what it takes. You could have the talent, you could have the brain of Peyton Manning, the talent of Aaron Rodgers. None of that matters if you don't have the will to succeed. And I think that people who are born at a disadvantage, whether it be socioeconomically, maybe physically, maybe smarts wise, whatever the case may be, I think that can be an advantage because it makes you hungry. Or if you're not the 5-star recruit, the number 1 draft pick, and this and that, you know, all these guaranteed dollars, it makes you work harder.
You have to be hungry, man. You know, I was watching the podcast you had with Alan Roger Curry, you know, and both of you talk about self-improvement a lot, but in order to self-improve, you have to be hungry. There's a lot of guys who can listen to your advice, a lot of guys that can read Alan Roger Curry's books, man. But if you're not willing to go out there and fail and continuously fail until you figure it out, you're never gonna grow.
That's exactly right, man. Listen, I totally agree. Yeah, listen, we can relate that to game. You got a lot of good-looking guys out here who, like, there are a lot of good-looking guys who are naturally good with women, or who were naturally good with women. But dude, men and women evolve, and at some point they sort of hit a wall. And the reason they're not good with women, they were just born with good genetics. They're just naturally good looking people, so women are drawn to that. Well, guess what? When you get out of the real world, you got all kinds of people who are good looking. So the good looking guy who's always been good with women, he's not going to be motivated to improve himself with women as the guy who failed miserably with women in his teens and 20s like I did. That's why I got to where I got, because I was tired of not getting laid, man. Like, I wasn't, dude. A lot of people ask me, "Oh, Donovan, you know, how long have you done this?" Dude, like, I wasn't born with this ability, man. I had to go out, just like you said, I had to go out and get my nose bloodied. I had to go out and get embarrassed. But that's why I am where I am today. Was that hunger? Was that fire?
You know, that's really what intelligence should be based off. It should be It should be based off success. You know, can you build the type of relationships you want to build? Could you build the life that you want to build, that you want to live? And the thing that what you need for those two things to happen is you need to have self-awareness, man.
Oh,
you know,
yes.
But it takes, you have to be brave and bold to be self-aware, because you have to be critical of who you are. You have to accept the fact, I don't know everything. Maybe I don't look as good as I think I do. Right. How do I fix this shit? And a lot of people aren't brave enough to do that, man. you know?
Listen, self-awareness is a powerful thing, especially if you can be honest with yourself. Because if you can't be honest with yourself, you're not going to make honest improvements. Just like you said, if a guy doesn't look as good as he might think he looks, then he's not gonna put in the work. If the guy's not as strong as he thinks he is, he's not gonna hit the gym.
Yeah.
If you have the power to look in the mirror and say, Donovan, you're a fucking loser. I mean, you don't have to berate yourself, but you have to have an honest conversation with yourself about what you're good at and what you're not. Only when you can correctly identify what you're not good at can you improve on those things. Listen, this is simple math. This isn't complicated.
It's real, man, because when you don't address the things that you're not good at, you know, and you're not getting the results that you want to get, you can become bitter. And then you see people that's next to you that are, you know, that you started off better than, that continuously worked on themselves and improved and got that badass chick or that awesome ass job. You become bitter. You just become angry, man. Suicidal. You know what I'm saying?
You ever seen the movie The Count of Monte? Was it The Count of Monte Cristo? Or what the hell was that called?
Count of Monte Cristo.
Yeah, hang on a second. I think that's what it's called. The Count of Monte Cristo, Guy Pearce. Oh yes, right. Yes. So it's
okay, I'll check that out later.
It's a very good movie. Listen, I mean, we all know about the story of Count of Monte Cristo. Jim Caviezel and Guy Pearce. And the story goes, long story short, Guy Pearce's character is this rich guy. Jim Caviezel is like, he's basically a peasant. But they were friends. And so Jim Caviezel's character, who was the peasant, he was getting his life together because he had that hunger. Well, Guy Pearce's character, and I don't remember what Edmond Dantes. Well, I'm not going to get names mixed up. Anyway, so the rich guy ends up sending the poor guy to what's called Chateau d'If. Okay. He literally just wanted to send him away to prison. He had the power to do this. And so when he was rounding him up, his best friend says to him, like, why are you doing this? And he says to this guy, he says, because you're the son of a clerk and I'm not supposed to want to be you. That's what's going on these days. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what's going on with these people, man. It's like they start off with all of these advantages, which are great. Like these people put their kids in private school, and that is the most wonderful thing to do. Shout out to Carlos Jean with the $19.14 super chat. He says, hashtag proud Patreon, good game as usual. Got to be a little Rocky in the first movie. Got to be gritty and hungry. Listen, be Rocky in Rocky 1 and 2. Don't be Rocky in Rocky 3, if you know what I'm saying, right? You remember what happened in Rocky 3? He got rich. A younger, hungrier fighter, Mr. T, came and kicked his ass. Well, he had to go back to the gym and reclaim that hungriness. But back to what I was saying earlier, it's good to give your kids all of the advantages that come with wealth, because you want to do right by your kids. But when you get too much too soon, it really kills a lot of that hunger. And you said it best, man. A lot of unsuccessful people started out with more advantages than the average person, but because they had those advantages, they weren't as hungry. They didn't have that desire to succeed. Like a guy starts a company back in 1912, passes it on to the son. The son is never the same. Let me think of a sports angle. Hal Steinbrenner, right? George Steinbrenner, God rest his soul. Dude, he ran the New York Yankees like with an iron fist, and he won what, 5 or 6 rings? Dude, Hal Steinbrenner's a fucking schmuck. Dr. Jerry Buss, the owner of the Los Angeles Lakers, he ended up dying and bequeathed the team to his son. I don't even know what his son's name is, but his son doesn't know shit. Like, he's completely unmotivated. Like, his daughter has to run the team, and she had to bring in Magic Johnson. He wasn't as driven to succeed as Dr. Jerry Buss because, of course, Jerry Buss was the owner, gave his son Jim Buss all of the advantages. I think it's very important that while it's good to give your kids the advantages early on, you have to find a way to make them hungry. I don't know how to do that, man. I mean, I've never been rich, but I don't know. To me, it's almost like you're between a rock and a hard place.
Hopefully one day that happens. But, you know, I was thinking about the movie, the Count of Monte, was it Carlo?
Cristo.
Monte Cristo.
Good movie.
This the story, the way he did his friend, man, because just for me, my story in general, you know, I come from a lower class. My hometown's East Palo Alto. Not many people know about that, but
sure.
My friends that I grew up with that see me grow, they continuously push me. But the people that I met in college that have better backgrounds than I do, we all, like, a few of us took a graduate exam, and I was the only one that passed it, but they came from like high upper class families. And then once I passed that exam, it's like their whole persona,
like their whole belief system.
Exactly, and
right.
we're not friends to this day anymore. They couldn't accept the fact that I could be better than them at something.
Oh,
You know what I'm
Jesus
saying?
Christ.
But it works like that, man. When you don't have that, you assume just because you dress a certain way, you talk a certain way, you have certain privileges, life is supposed to happen for you. Life doesn't happen for anybody.
No.
For anybody. You might start, if we run a 100-meter dash, you might start at the 50-meter. I might start at the 0, but you have to run at the end of the day.
It's the whole fucking race. Right.
You have to work, man. So
yeah, listen, it was like the 100 meters when Justin Gatlin back in Rio got out to a quick start. He got on Usain. You were like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, no. No. Usain got him. That's how that works, man. Just like you said, you got to put in the work. You can start out with all of the conceivable advantages that are known to men. It doesn't matter if you don't want it. And if you get too much too soon, you don't want it. You take it back to sports and football. Jay Cutler was a first-round draft pick. He obviously didn't want it. Jay Cutler is so talented.
Yes, he's
like,
a beast.
He's unbelievable.
He had a lot of potential, man. I remember when he first came in with the Bears, man. He was nice.
Dude, I like Jay Cutler. And here's the thing. Jay Cutler is not a bad quarterback. He's actually he's a below average quarterback, but he's not really that bad, and he doesn't want it. Can you imagine if you put Tom Brady's head into Jay Cutler's body? I mean, but again, that's why you live life, right? People come from different places, and this is just how it happens, man. You gotta want it.
You see this it's in football, when you make a mistake, you can kind of you can rely on your teammates to lift you back up.
Sure.
But you see this a lot in like martial arts and boxing specifically. Like that's I don't like Mayweather's boxing style. I'm not a big fan of his boxing style, but I believe that he is the hardest working boxer, maybe even athlete, from the beginning of his career to the end of his career. Because for me, myself, sometimes even when I'm fighting, I'll just rely on my athleticism, but then I'll get punched in the face and get my ass kicked. And I have to remind myself, run your laps.
Right.
Do the little things.
Get your wind.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, exactly. And you see somebody like Mayweather, saying no matter how much success he has, he still pushes hard. It's hard. It's hard to find when you meet somebody that's like that, you have to respect them.
Listen, this goes back to Tom Brady. This guy's won 5 Super Bowls, and I can promise you there's nobody playing right now who wants a Super Bowl more than that guy. It's like, you think about it, man. Like, this guy's fire still burns hot. He's talking about playing until he's 73, and he might, man. This guy's done it all. He's got movie star looks. He married a Brazilian supermodel. He's the toast of New England. The guy has it all, and he wants more. Dude, people aren't made that way. And it goes back to what you said. It's very, very hard to recapture that hunger after you've had success. But guys like Floyd Mayweather, Tom Brady, they managed to do it somehow. Yeah,
man. It's you have to admire them. You got to give them their props. It's unfortunate that Floyd doesn't get the love that he should get in this country. But those traits is something that all men should strive for.
Yeah, well, again, Floyd came from very humble beginnings, and Floyd, I think early on in his career, I think he made what's called and you're probably familiar with this. He made the business decision, right? Ted Ginn Jr. made a business decision. Deion Sanders made a business decision. In that, I'm not going to get hit, or I'm not going to go toe to toe with these people. Because they understood that to be successful, you don't have to go toe-to-toe. You don't have to get into these bloody knockout wars. You don't have to be hitting people. You don't have to be the cornerback who's the hard-hitting cornerback. No, you can rely on your athleticism and skill to be the best you can be, so you'll last longer in the sport. The reason why Floyd fought until he was 40, 41 is because he just didn't get hit. He is the best he is the greatest defensive fighter I think I've ever seen. And no, a lot of people don't like his style, but guess what? He gets the W's.
Yeah, it's called measured steps. He definitely doesn't take risk where you don't need to take risk.
He's not. No, he's very risk averse.
Exactly, and if it does get tough, he's definitely in shape to handle it. So
yeah, you better believe he's got that wind.
Yeah.
All right. That's going to do it for this edition of TSR Live. Darron, tell the people where they can find you.
Hey, you can find me on Twitter at I am Darron Brown. That is I am DARRON BROWN. I'm also a writer for the Negro Manosphere. I'll be posting all articles related to dating and lifestyle on my Twitter, so make sure you add me.
Good stuff, and he's going to be coming out with the ladies champion here real soon. I'm looking forward to that. Darron, always good to talk to you, man. We'll do this soon.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
All right,
Peace.
We're out.